Okay, so I don't see any question. Guys, please confirm if you can hear me. We'll be talking about functions, JavaScript functions, call stack, and DOM manipulations. So I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see my screen? So let's start with JavaScript functions. So what are functions? Functions are basically block of code or block of statements that we use to perform a specific task. Okay. Just like if you take an example of a calculator, okay, or a washing machine, both the things have their function, okay. They perform a specific task. So calculator you can use for calculating something. It's not like that you can call any other person using a calculator, okay, because it has a predefined specific task. One more thing is function is executed only when we invoke it or only when we call it, okay. Just like if you want to use a calculator, you will have to turn it on first, okay. Just like that, for functions also we need to call it. The next things we will see one by one. So let's first understand how to define a simple function in JavaScript. Okay, so function definition or function declaration, okay, and we can do that using function keyword followed with name of the function, and you will follow the same rule to give name of the function as we follow in naming a variable, okay. For example, this is very simple function. Let's say add function. So add is name, then we take the round brackets, okay, and curly braces in order to define scope block of this function, okay. Inside this, what I'm doing is I'm simply saying where sum equal to num1 plus num2 console.log sum. Okay, that's it. That's how we define a simple function. We also call this as function declaration or definition. Now see, even if I run this particular thing, you can see there is no output on the console. Okay, because it's a rule of function. If we are not calling it, it won't execute. Okay. So to call a function or to invoke a function means you just have to write function name followed with the round brackets. Okay. That's how you call the function. So see if you execute it now. Oh, sorry. I will take some predefined numbers. Okay. So this time if you can see there is output on the console which says 25. Okay. So that's how function works. Wherever you will call it, that time only this function will be executed. Now, as of now, this function is not really of any use because every time you execute it, it will just give you the addition of 10 and 15. Okay. So now what you can do in this case, you can actually pass a input to your function, okay, which function will take, and based on that input you can perform specific things. So that input we call it as function parameters, and we always define function parameters in these round brackets. Num1 and num2 are the parameters, and we'll add num1 plus num2. This time what will happen is, while you are calling the function, you will have to make sure you pass all the values for the parameters. Okay, so if your function is taking two parameters, you should pass two values over here. So now I can pass any values, and when we are passing actual values of the parameters, we call those as arguments. Okay, and simply you can run it. Okay, and you can see we are getting the result. Any questions so far? More topic regarding function, and then you can continue with the task. Okay, now we will talk about something called a return statement in the function. We always use return in a function, and return is used to return a value from your function, okay, so that you can use that value anywhere you want in your program. So instead of printing a value of sun, I will simply say return sum. Okay, this return will do few things. First of all, it will return this value to the place where function was called. So at line number 7 it will return this value. So we have to make sure that we should store this value somewhere. So I will create a variable for that, and I will store the value of this function. Next, return will stop the execution of function. Okay, it means once return statement is executed, that's the end of your function. Okay, so even if you try to do something after this return, maybe I'm saying hello, you can see this code is unreachable. Okay, unreachable code detected, because return will be the last statement to be executed in your function. Here I can print value of s. So see, if I execute it, I'm getting 14, but that hello was not printed. Okay, because before that only return statement was encountered, and that's it. It will stop the execution of function. So if you don't have any question in this, I want you to create 4 different functions for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. All the functions will take two parameters, and you should return the value from the function using return statement. Once you are done, please tell me so that we can move on to the next point. Okay, so are you done with the task, guys? Shall I move on to next point? Are you guys there? Okay, thanks. So next we will talk about function expression. This is just another way of defining a function in JavaScript. So what we basically do is, with the help of function expression, you will be able to create anonymous functions. Okay, and that's the main difference between your function expression and declaration. What we do exactly is we create a variable and inside that we can store entire function. Okay, so it means if you want to convert this thing into a function expression, you can do that. Simply create a variable, maybe sum equals, not sum, addition. And now you will be able to create an anonymous function. It means even if you remove this name, that is allowed. Okay. And how to call this is simply you can use this variable name in order to call your function. Okay. So that is what a function expression is. Apart from this, we also have arrow functions. Arrow functions are just the shorter syntax of creating a function. Okay, you can go through the arrow functions on your own. Next, let's talk about call stack. Okay, in JavaScript, there is something called call stack, basically which will keep a track of different function calls. Okay, multiple function calls. How it keeps a track of this, we will understand using one example. Okay, let's say I have created two functions. Let's say first is a add function which will take two parameters and it simply returns addition of these two numbers. Another, I'm creating a average function which is again taking two parameters and this will return average of the two numbers. Okay, now for average we can simply call our add function and we can divide it by 2. So I will call this add function by passing these parameters and we'll divide it by 2. And finally we'll see, let's say p equal to, we will call the average function and let's pass 5 comma 5. Okay, and we'll print this result on the console. Okay, see when you execute this, you can see you're getting 5 on the console. Okay, because average of 5 and 5 is 5 only. Now how JavaScript is managing these multiple function calls. Okay, we are calling average functions, we are also calling add function. So let's open developers tool. Okay, I will put debuggers in my code. So one debugger over here, here and here. Okay, now see once I refresh it, currently in the call stack you can see there is something called anonymous. Okay, anonymous is nothing but you can consider it as global execution context. Okay, We have a concept of global execution context, which gets created when we execute any JavaScript code. Okay, global execution context, you can consider it manages the memory allocation process. Okay, so at first that will be inserted in your call stack. Okay, and call stack uses first in last out, sorry, last in first out mechanism. Okay, so the thing which will be inserted last will be popped out first. Okay, so first we have anonymous. Let's step over this. Okay, you can see we are calling the average function, so average function is inserted into the call stack. Okay, over here we are calling one more function which is add. So now you can see add is also inserted into the call stack. What I mentioned is last element will be popped out first. Okay, it means once we execute the add function, you can now see in the call stack only average and anonymous is there. Add is completely removed. Okay, last in first out. After that, average will be executed. Okay, it is also popped out, and finally your global execution context will be popped out. Okay, finally if you see over here, call stack is empty. So that's how this call stack is managing the track of, it's keeping the track of multiple function calls. Have you understood this? Is there guys, I want you to try this example and debug your code and see how call stack is working. I'm giving you 5 minutes to do it. Okay, and once you're okay, I'll just wait for 5 minutes. After that I'll continue with the next topic. Okay, so please finish this. Okay, so I'm now moving on to next point. Now we will talk about document object model. Okay, so what a document object model is, you can imagine it as a tree. Okay, just like your family tree where you will be having your grandparents at the top. Okay, then your parents and then you. Okay, just like a family tree, we have a document object model which will be the representation of like all the HTML elements we have in our page. So it's basically a programming interface for our web documents, and it represents every HTML element as a node. Okay, as a leaf, basically leaf of a tree. Just an example of a DOM is this. Okay, so we will be having a root element which is HTML. Okay, HTML will have the child nodes. Again, those are also element nodes, head and body. Okay, again in head you can have a title or a style tag. Okay, and each individual element can also have attribute node if you are providing any attribute to it, and other another node they can have is text node. Okay, any type of content if you are inserting, that becomes a text node. So this is a simple example of your document object model. Now this DOM is very helpful when you want to select specific element from your page. With the help of DOM, with the help of JavaScript, we can manipulate our DOM elements. So there are various things. You can change the content of the element. You can delete any element. Okay, basically you can remove your elements. You can add new elements. You can also change the style of the elements using JavaScript and this DOM. Now, as I told you, there are various things. So over here, I have listed it in a table. If you want to find a specific element in your DOM, there are different methods. Okay, first is get element by ID. This method will help you find a unique element based on the ID attribute. Okay, ID value. Then we have get elements by tag name. Okay, so basically, based on a tag name, you can find any element, and we have elements by class name as well. Okay, so you will get list of elements which belongs to same class if you use get elements by class name. Now those were the methods in order to find any HTML element, and now we will see how to change the elements. Okay, these are few things. If you want to change the HTML content, okay, the inner content, you can simply use a property called inner HTML. Okay, if you want to change any attribute, maybe ID or class of that element, so you can simply mention attribute property and give a new value to it. Similarly, if you want to change CSS of specific element, you can use this style dot property. So for example, you want to change background color, so you will write style dot background color. Okay, and whatever the new style, new background color that you want to give. Okay, now we will see one example, and in that example I will also explain you the events concept. Okay, there are different events like on change, on click, mouse over, mouse down. Okay, we will see these events as well. Oh, let me just, yeah, let's consider in my index.html, I have created one paragraph tag. Okay, and I'm giving a id p1 to this. Okay, currently I'm not writing anything inside this paragraph tag. You can see it's empty as of now. Okay, there is nothing. I will close this, and I'm creating a button over here. Okay, a add button. What I want is I want to display addition of the two numbers. So basically I want to call this addition function. only if user clicks on the add button. Okay, so how to do that? First of all, I will not call that add function over here. I will simply, okay. So after clicking on the add button only, I want to call the function, and I want to display the result of addition inside this p tag. Okay, so how to do that? I want to like print the result inside this p tag. It means I should first select this element. So in order to find this element, you can simply say document dot get element by id. Id of that paragraph is p1. Okay, and inside this I want to change the html content of this, so I will use that property inner html equal to, and I want to say addition is this sum. Okay, that's it, and we are done with the function. Now currently you can see there is nothing on the screen, and add button is not working as of now, because we should add a event to this. Okay, I want to add click event on this button, so I will simply use on click attribute, and here I will call that function. My function name is add, and the values are will be maybe 8 comma 9. Okay, so see, if I execute it, I clicked on add, and now it displays the addition. So this is how you can add event in your HTML to an HTML element, and this is how you can find and select any HTML element using get element by id method. Is there any question, guys? Guys, is there any question? Okay, fine. Okay, so if you don't have any question, your task is you have to create a button on your page and one div tag, okay, which will have some height and width and a background color yellow. Okay, what you should do is, if you click on that button, you should change the background color of your div. That is your task. Once you are done, please let me know. I will wait for maximum 5 minutes. Okay, so please do it quickly. Okay, fine. So now I'm moving on to the next point. Okay, apart from this, guys, you have other methods as well. Okay, using which you can create any element. You can remove the child. Okay, for example, you created a list. Okay, maybe order list and order list, and you are creating a basically a to-do list. Okay, where you will have to add some specific items to the list. You at some point of time you will have to also remove it. So in that case you can use this remove child and append child method. We also have replace child. Okay, in order to, if in case you want to update something. And finally we have document dot write method. It is basically a output stream. It will just write onto your HTML page. Events part, I have already cleared one event. Okay. Similarly, you have on change event. Okay. In case your element has been changed and after that you want to do something. Okay. Then we have on mouse over, mouse out, on key down. Okay. If you press any keyboard key, and on load when browser loads the page. So these are the various events that you can use. Most specifically, on change event you will use in case of inputs. Okay. Next point we have is event listeners. Event listeners are basically the thing which will help you add an event to specific element. Okay. Like now what we were doing, we were having one button, and on that button we added a event called on click. Okay. But if you want to add a same event to your div tag, you can do that using add event listener method. What this method will do, it will attach a event handler to an element without overwriting the existing event handlers. Okay. It means you can specify multiple events for a single element. Okay. Maybe if you click on the element, you want some specific task to do. If that element is changing, in that case you want to perform another task. So you can add multiple events to same HTML element as well using add event listener method. Now next is okay. This add event listener method takes the two things mainly. Okay. First will be the event name. So let's say if you want a click event, you will mention click. The second parameter will be the callback function. So the function which you want to call when you are clicking on the button or when the click event is triggered. Third parameter is optional. Okay. Third parameter is capture parameter. Okay. Whether the value of this parameter can be false or true. Okay. When you mention capture equal to true, it will capture the events. Okay. And when you mention capture equal to false, it will propagate the event up the hierarchy. Okay. So it will bubble out. So here comes two different points: event bubbling and event capturing. These are related to how events are propagated. So in bubbling, what happens is events will be propagated up the hierarchy. Okay. So from the closest element to the farthest away element, it will be propagated. And event capturing is nothing but events will be propagated down the hierarchy. And whether you want bubbling or capturing, that you can mention using this third parameter, which is capture. Okay. Actually it is use capture, and here you can mention either true or false. So I'll directly show you that example. I guess it's in my different account. Now, to understand the event listener as well as capture and bubble, I have created these things. So I have created three different divs. Basically, these are uh, this is the outermost div, the red one. Then inner div I have which is blue colored, and after that I have the child div which is green in color. You can fix the alignments using your CSS. I am using a flexbox, okay, to align everything properly like this. So I'm coming to event listener method, okay. So if you can see, I'm giving IDs to these divs, grandparent, parent and child. Now to select the element, I am using document.get element by ID, grandparent. To add the event listener, we are using add event listener method. First parameter is the type of the event. So I want to click event. So I mentioned that. Second is the callback function. Okay. The function that I want to call. So this is my callback function. And inside this, I'm simply saying like console.log grandparent clicked. In this case, I have also given the third parameter, which is capture equal to true. Okay. It means I want to perform capturing. So basically event should be propagated down the hierarchy. So see, in this case, if I open the dev tools, I'll run it. If I click on this child div, you can see events are propagated down the hierarchy. So grandparent was first executed, then parent and then child, even though I clicked on child. Okay. In case I clicked on parent, you can see only grandparent and parent is executed. So basically events are propagated down the hierarchy. This will happen in capturing. Now if you mention this as false, in this case event bubbling will be there. S- In case of event bubbling, events will be propagated up the hierarchy. It means if I click on child, first child will be executed, then parent and then grandparent. Okay. Similarly, if you click on maybe parent, parent was executed, then grandparent. Okay. That's what will happen in bubbling. And this is add event listener method. So using this, you can add any event to any of the HTML element. Is there any question? Guys, is there any question? Okay. Fine, then you can practice the add event listener method and also check bubbling and capturing things. So for today's session, that was it from my side. If you have any question, please let me know. Otherwise, I will end the session.